Good morning, pre-calculus. So I want to start by talking about our problem from yesterday, which most of you have already submitted and you got the right answer. But I think hearing it and talking about some tips that might help guide you in future problems is still worth it. All right, so I have this trigonometric expression, and it looks like a hot mess right now. So one thing that I notice is that I've got fractions. And so this is my first hot tip for you. Anytime you've got fractions, I'm going to say, hey, let's get a common denominator. Okay, so I'm going to look at this, and my common denominator is going to be cosine x times 1 minus sine x, which means I need to multiply this term here by 1 minus sine x and this term here by cosine x. And so now I've got this bad boy here. Okay, second hot tip is whenever algebra calls you, follow that call. I'm looking here, I've got two binomials. I sure would like to distribute those binomials. And the thing that's beautiful is that that middle term is going to drop out. And I'm going to be left with this. This term here stays the same. All right, so now here's hot tip number 2. Anytime you see stuff squared and ones, anytime you see stuff squared and the number 1, that's ones, not is. Anytime you see ones and stuff squared, I want you to think about our friend Pythagoras. Okay, so yesterday we proved these guys here, that sine squared plus cosine squared is equal to 1. And when I think about what I've got right here, it looks to me like I needed to bring this over to this side of my equation so I can get this relationship here. This is still a Pythagorean identity. It's just rewritten with algebra. So 1 minus sine squared, that's cosine squared. And so I can substitute in cosine squared for that guy there. I'm going to do that right here. Now I get this. Okay, algebra is still calling my name. Algebra says, hey, there's a GCF there. I'm going to go ahead and factor that out. If I factor out cosine squared, I'm going to be left with cosine squared times the quantity 1 minus sine. So now I've got this guy here. And now I can boom, 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 boom. And I'm left with just cosine. Okay, so the question is, how do you know what to do and when to do it? So these are, again, I wanted to just give you my hot tips and then let you play. Hot tip number 1, get yourself a common denominator when there's fractions. Hot tip number 2, always watch for Pythagoras. Anytime you see something squared and ones, you want to be thinking about Pythagoras. And hot tip number 3 is this. Sometimes it helps to rewrite stuff with sine and cosine. So if you see a whole bunch of secants and cosecants and tangents and cotangents, maybe it's going to be easier for you to work in terms of sine and cosine. So these are my 3 big hot tips of the day. I'm going to give you 2 problems to play with. And all I want you to do is submit me your answers. All right, we'll do more tomorrow.